Okay, today I want to talk about Pegasus. And this goes along with a conversation I was having with my sister. So, this is the context of what we're talking about. So, my ex-wife, one of our last arguments, uh, like top five last. It wasn't our last argument, but there was a kids drag show. They just call it a drag show. If you call them and stuff, that we don't have kids drag shows. And she wanted to dress our son up and teach him to twerk. Basically, that they wear a dress and they wear layers of clothing and they strip down to a thong. And she wanted to for him to do that. He was 4 at the time. Um, teach him to strip down to a thong and twerk. When I first married her, she was a Christian girl who went to church with her mother every Sunday, and at least she told me she was a Christian. And after a few years with my family, she was saying the same kind of things that they were. Like, uh, "You're just a Christian control freak. You're just jealous. You just want me all to yourself." And, like, what? Like, you're my wife. You knew what a wife was before we got married. Like, oh, we were together a year and a half. I made sure of it. Anyway, so they'll try to say they don't do this. But so anyway, yeah. And then they use things like so anyway, this yeah, they do. It's just a drag show. They used to call it drag kids or whatever, but I guess they got too much flack. So now it's just drag queen or drag contest or you know. And then they'll use things like this. House Andrews and the Andrews children. It's not actual children. The House Andrews considers their models, calls their models their children. So oh, this, yeah, that's not really children. It's they're just called like yeah, but there are like they'll get you focused on something like this, so you don't look at the things like this. And yeah, yeah. I went over the T word, like one of my mother's, or my mother's best friend. Her last name just happens to be that. So, but yeah, it it's real. It really happens. You know. Period. Period. So anyway, to the conversation. Oh wait, all the spam. Like I said, it's 75% of our family, all of our living sisters, most of our aunts, uncles, even some of the children, blah, blah, blah. I used to lash out and attack adults when I was a kid because that, that, and that. I don't want to get kicked off of YouTube, so you can see the conversation for yourself. The parts I can't read aloud. Mom told blah blah blah. Anyway, I'll go over some of this, but I encourage you to just read it. Pause it if you have to. Saying, my ex wanted to put our son in those, blah blah blah. That's like I said. The point of the discussion was I was upset, and I was talking to my. This is my oldest sister, and because I put my foot down, I kept my mouth shut, stayed quiet, let her talk and talk and talk and explain the whole thing. How, they dress in layers and they just remove their clothing. They don't get fully, they don't take everything off. They keep the thong and the bra on and twerk at the end. you know, just let her dig her own grave. So, I'm talking to my family like, hey, like this is messed up. Like I tolerated the drag queen story hour and all that. Like, okay, yeah, that's cool. They're just reading books to the kids, whatever. But this is where I put my foot down, and this is why I don't belong in my family. So anyway, I'm sure you read all that by now. You know, it's not a pissing contest. She says that because, of course, she knows since I was a toddler. And okay, so your first experience was at 9. Well, my first negative experience was at 3 or 4. I mean, as far back as I can remember, my earliest memories, which is why I was, you know, which is why I would lash out and attack teachers and stuff from them not believing me because my whole family would say I was lying. You can survive this because you've survived childhood and blah blah blah. See, as for the DQ stuff, I'm gonna have to say blah blah blah. And see, that was the thing because ever since my son was 2, my ex would, she wanted. I wouldn't let her. She always made it an issue. Like I said, she was supposedly a church girl who went to church, a Christian who went to church to the mega church of Pastor John Hagee mega church here in San Antonio. Gonna have to say blah 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 if he wants to dress that way. My point was like, okay, but you know, me and her had many discussions about it. I told her if he decides that, that's fine. I accept it and I love him anyway, regardless. But don't dress him up, like that, like he's a doll. I used to work at the electric, you know, blah blah blah. You know, a lot of people think I'm that way because the way my voice sounds, my mannerisms. I cook and clean. I care about things. And like I said, my own family is sick. And I've had to. One of the reasons everybody hates me is because one, when I was younger, especially, being violently, what, so much, I would call it out uh, when it was happening to others. But see, others enjoy it. I was just the odd one out that didn't enjoy it. And so when you call the police or you say something, I don't know what he's talking about. He's crazy. He's lying. He's always lying. He's always making this stuff up. So since that never worked, wherever I was staying all my life, you know, say if the dad's at work and it's an aunt and one of her sons or something like that. Yeah, not specifically, but I mean, not calling anyone out, but anyway, if it's, there's an adult and a child at home and I hear, you hear the hanky panky, you hear the sounds, you know, and I'm in the same house, you know, my typical move was to loudly say, "That's sick. Y'all are sick. That's gross. I'm getting out of here. I'm going for a walk." So like my siblings will tell you too, man, I would disappear sometimes for 2 or 3 days at a time. I would just go out into the world. I mean, I'm talking about 8-year-old, 9-year-old me. Like, I don't want to hear that sickness. I don't want to hear that grossness. I don't want to be around it. So I just disappear. But anyway, you know, so I tolerate a lot because, like I said, trying to call it out never worked anyway. Because no, he's crazy. He's lying. And it ends there, and it just makes me look bad. Or then they turn around. That's probably what's going on in his head. That's what he's thinking about. Like fuck you. Anyway, you're being hyperbolic. Oh yeah. So when I was performing in my kindergarten plays, that was creepy. Like, this is my oldest sister. I'm a middle child, so yeah, I'm not gonna remember that. But no, dressed up like Madonna. Like, I don't remember, but yes, I would have found that creepy. So it's okay for a girl. Like, no, she would watch that Honey Boo Boo stuff, and I found that disgusting too. I think it was first grade. Act was Madonna's Lucky Star, lip syncing to Madonna, dancing blah, first grade. So, yeah, like, plus, she graduated from kindergarten, little brother. I didn't hit the teacher in the head with a chair. Like I said, when you're being ragdolled, uh, one of the things and one of the ways they declared me crazy when I was a kid was somebody, some male, put on a Halloween. I mean, in hindsight, uh, this is the explanation. Like when I was a kid, I was saying I was raped by a demon. Um, so of course, like yeah, he's crazy. Like demons don't exist, and really, it was a male in a Halloween mask. So a red devil mask. But young me is like red skin and glowing eyes, and just children's imagination gets away with them. Anyway, so where were we? Okay, yeah, I said either way, like boys are girls, neither of them. My point of it being different was like, okay, I have a son, I have a boy, like he shouldn't be dressing up in twerking in a thong, you know. Period. Period. I mean, neither should a little girl. Neither of them should be. And the thing is, it's stripping. It's not dress up. It's not, you know. Anyway, yeah, Madonna. Haven't driven in a year. Oh yeah. So you know, she's always been taken care of. She's always, you know, always, she's had a roof over her head and a room to sleep in. I was like, yeah, right. Like my family would kick me out. I would live in tents in the woods and stuff like that. Like the thing about my family is, like I said, I've been considered mentally disabled from suicide attempts from a very young age. Ever since like 8 years old, because no one would believe me because I would tell, when I would be violated, and just my whole family, oh, he's always making up these stories. He's like, no, there's very specific things that I've been saying, and they never changed. Very specific things about very specific people that have never changed. That's not just going around and making things up. So anyway, I put that my grandma kicked me out, but it was actually my grandpa. Uh, yeah, and whenever I'd be there, it had to be a secret because they would evict me. Because, like I said, everybody hated me because I was the one that would make comments when I would overhear things. If I'm at somebody's house, like, that's gross, y'all are sick, so nobody wanted me around. Not what they say, oh, because you make her flip her shit and you keep pushing and pushing until she kicked you out. You stabbed a teacher in the neck with a pencil in the third grade. You aren't an angel. Like, yeah, I lashed out against adults a lot. Stabbed a teacher in the neck in third grade. He hit a teacher in the head with a chair in kindergarten. Used to get in fights all the time. Broke almost every bone in my body. I'd go out into the world. Nobody believed me. I'm all pissed off. Like, nobody believes me. Nobody believes me. And then being gaslit by society itself and the whole. I go over in a previous video about one of my aunts. Um, I'll try to leave the link. I'm posting this one to YouTube as well. But you know, the whole system is a part of this. It's everything, and this isn't legal advice. I have to say that because you can get sued. But I think of it this way. You know, people tell me, oh, you should sue your family and this and that. Why? If I did that, I couldn't talk about this. Anyone who's had a lawsuit knows the first thing, what's the first thing they tell you? Don't talk about any of it. Don't release any information. Don't, because it'll just be used against you and blah, blah, blah. So is the court system good? And then you have to sign contracts saying that you will never, ever talk about these things and or you'll get in trouble. Why am I going to get myself in trouble? Why am I going to go after money just so I can not tell the truth? But yeah, not legal advice. But anyway, all right, that's it for now.